Hey there, welcome to Sumit Academy and to my series on the art of essay writing. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. No? Then please do so and press the subscribe button now. This is the 8th video in my series on the art of composing an essay. Let us now learn how to make our language flow so that our essay makes good reading. You must use the best words you know for your essay. You may use a variety of words or synonyms rather than repeating the same word in sentences. Also check that you have kept your language simple. Many candidates use complex words because they think that they are trying to impress the examiner. The problem is that candidates often use the words inaccurately, hence shifting the meaning of a sentence completely. Remember to check your grammar. Often, essays become incoherent for lack of knowledge of grammar. This has the effect of forcing the examiner to go over what he has read again and again and try to guess what the candidate is trying to say. The examiner may be unable to gauge what you mean or may come to an entirely different conclusion than the one you intended. Be careful with your attitude. While composing the essay, you need to take care to get your ideas across appropriately. You're aiming for reason, logic, argument, and coherence, and not personal experience. You want to show that you have read and understood a range of authors and views, that you have synthesized what they have said, adding your own opinion. Now, this brings us to the point of writing in formal style. In general, essays are formal in nature and so are impersonal, but they should also be straightforward and interesting. Formal doesn't mean writing in a stilted technical fashion, but it does mean taking care with the language you choose to use. Using the personal pronoun I in your essay depends on the nature of your essay. If you're writing a narrative on your own educational biography, you can't possibly complete the essay without using the pronoun I. Usually, examiners look for a balanced and an objective review of clear ideas, and they prefer to read the response with reference to experienced theorists rather than the views of the candidate. The style of writing should be appropriate to what you are writing, and hence the essay writing is generally formal. The personal pronoun I is generally discouraged. Unless you have been asked to use the I in your essay, just avoid using it. Now let's go on to avoiding overstatements. Your essay is a considered, well-researched, careful discussion, and the language you use should reflect this approach. If you really must emphasize something, use a different word, but avoid exaggeration by minimizing superlative and words like massively and unbelievably. Now, here are some overstatements that you should avoid. Now, what are the words normally you should avoid? Amazing, awesome, crazy, gigantic, great, super, terrific, wonderful, etc. You get the idea. Have a look at this slide. Remember to keep the essay neutral. Try not to sound angry or overexcited, and don't get dewy-eyed or sentimental. Avoid apologizing for your work and stay grounded, dodging passages where you go off on flights of fancy. Have faith in the ideas and evidence you have gathered. Confidence should make your argument strong without resorting to flowery, overblown language. Next, we come to clichés. Clichés are phrases that are overused. They tend to be meaningless and pointless, and they are informal in tone, so they are all the more inappropriate for your essay. Identifying clichés is not always easy because the phrases were once clever, witty, and interesting, but have been incorporated in everyday speech and writing. Clichés lack in imagination and apply in so many different circumstances that their generality makes them imprecise and open to misinterpretation. Now, some of the clichés are not really slang, but they are overused or hackneyed and should be avoided. Now, which ones should we avoid? Well, let's avoid these ones. At the end of the day, I must say, I have to say, sticks out like a sore thumb. The winds of change, the sands of time, the writing is on the wall, and the calm before the storm. Avoid using these clichés. Have a look at this slide. Next, we have to steer clear of slang. The point of slang is to reinforce a group identity and give members a sense of belonging. It is not that difficult to spot. Slang is the special language of particular groups, like soldiers or librarians. While it is good for conversation purposes, it can be quite confusing and misleading for the examiner. You certainly cannot start your essay by saying, "What's up? Yo, my essay is gonna blow you away." Of course not. You may use phrases like "as the bottom line," or you may say "one thing is certain." Now, though they are slang, but they are not obviously as bad as "what's up." Using a wide range of language. One way to impress the examiner is to vary the words you use and show the extent of your vocabulary. To come across as an accomplished writer, you should avoid repetition in ideas and words. You can instead use synonyms. Also, be sure to understand that some words we use in everyday language, such as criticize, have a different meaning when you use it in the essay. When you criticize somebody, you show disapproval of what he said or did. But in your essay, a criticism is more a formal weighing of pros and cons. Have a look at this slide. Minimizing the use of long words. You must use a combination of simple and complex vocabulary to make your essay impressive. Long and unusual words make an essay seem complex. Short and common words are easier to read and will leave a simple, clear effect. See this slide. Never use formatting or punctuation for effect. The purpose of punctuation is for clarity, not to shock or surprise the examiner. Similarly, The recommended formatting of an essay is designed to make the work easy to read and assess. You should not deviate from the conventions in order to achieve a dramatic effect. See these slides. These are things you should not do. Your facts, figures, ideas, and argument should be persuasive without having to force a particular emphasis into your sentences. You should not use bold lettering, italics, different word sizes, exclamation marks, or capital letters for emphasis. We have to be objective. In an essay writing, you aim to present evidence and evaluate it as clearly as possible. You are not asked to write about personal beliefs or prejudices. In our everyday language, we tend to show how we feel about certain things, ideas, and people. Now, this is acceptable in informal speech. However, in a formal essay, this is not acceptable. Even when you are asked for your views and opinions, these should be linked to the evidence you are evaluating and not to some unquestioned belief. Being clear, concise, and precise is the name of the game. Many candidates fall into the trap of assuming that essay writing in a formal style is dry and complicated. They fill their essays with convoluted phrases, extended sentences, and meaningless words in a vain attempt to show off their vocabulary. Instead of achieving the desired effect of impressing the examiner, they end up with a complicated, confusing, and ambiguous essay. For your examiner to appreciate your writing, it needs to be clear, simple, and to the point. Use specific language throughout and refer directly to evidence and theory rather than making broad assumptions. In addition, do not be vague. For example, instead of saying we interviewed some people, the better way of putting it is we interviewed 10 people. Each word in your essay should be there for a good reason. Padding and bulking your essay do not qualify as good reasons. A word of warning here. In trying to cut out the words, take care not to end up with a stiff and terse essay. It needs to flow and read well, so do not simply omit words. Read your essay thoroughly and check that it sounds reasonable and not robotic. Also, learn to avoid double negatives. Yes, for example, instead of saying the idea is not ineffective, you should write that the idea is effective. Instead of writing a sentence like, research is never a useless activity, you can well write, research is a useful activity. Well, so much for how to write the perfect sentence. In our next video, which will be the 9th in our series on the art of essay writing, we shall study on how to write the introduction, the main body, and the conclusion of our essay. Do look out for my other videos on essay writing. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel so that you don't miss out on my future videos. In case you wish to give a feedback or suggest future videos, feel free to write in to sumitacademy20@gmail.com. Till later then, cheers.